Dr. Isabella Luna stretched her tired shoulders as she gazed through the observation window of Luna Station's Xenobiology ward. The artificial day cycle was transitioning to evening, casting long shadows across the pristine medical bay. Her shift was nearly complete when the urgent transmission arrived, its priority markers flashing across her neural interface with an intensity that made her heart skip. Dr. Luna, incoming emergency transmission from the Aetherian Central Medical Hub, the station's AI announced, its voice carefully modulated to convey urgency without panic. Patient case files are being transferred now. The holographic display materialized before her, showing the delicate crystalline form of a young Aetherian child. Even through the projection, Isabella could see the telltale signs of deterioration in the child's usually luminescent body. The diagnostic data scrolling alongside the image painted an even grimmer picture. Patient name: Mira. Age equivalent to Earth years: 7. Isabella read aloud, her trained eyes quickly scanning through the complex medical terminology. Crystalline matrix showing signs of systematic breakdown at the cellular level. Her heart sank as she reviewed the attached medical history. 3 of the most advanced medical facilities in the Galactic Alliance had already attempted treatment, each one ultimately declaring the condition terminal. The last facility had given Mira less than 2 months before complete system failure. As Isabella dove deeper into the case files, her research assistant, Dr. Nina Patel, entered the observation room. "I came as soon as I saw the priority alert," Nina said, her quick steps bringing her to Isabella's side. "Is that an Aetherian child?" Isabella nodded, expanding the holographic display so they could both examine the detailed crystal structure analysis. "Look at these deterioration patterns," she said, highlighting several areas where the once perfect crystalline matrices were showing signs of decay. "I've never seen anything quite like it." The 2 doctors worked in focused silence, comparing Mira's case with every known instance of Aetherian crystal decay in their medical database. Hours passed, marked only by the subtle shift of lighting in the station and the occasional soft chime of incoming data packets. "Here's something interesting," Nina suddenly announced, pulling up a comparison scan. "The deterioration rate changes when exposed to different energy frequencies. Look at this reading from their last attempt at treatment." Isabella leaned forward, her eyes widening as she noticed a subtle but significant pattern. During routine medical scans, Mira's deterioration had temporarily slowed when in close proximity to the human medical staff. The effect was minimal and hadn't been noted in any of the official reports, but it was there. "Computer, cross-reference all instances of human proximity with the patient's crystal stability readings," Isabella commanded. The AI processed the request, creating a new overlay that confirmed her suspicion. There was a clear correlation. "Nina, look at this," Isabella said, her voice gaining excitement. Human bioelectric fields seemed to resonate with her crystal matrix at a fundamental level. It's subtle, but it's consistent across all readings. Before they could explore this discovery further, the station's AI interrupted with another urgent message. "Dr. Luna, incoming real-time transmission from the Aetherian Medical Hub." The holographic display shifted, revealing the worried faces of Mira's parents. Their crystalline forms shimmered with anxiety-induced color patterns that any experienced xenobiologist would recognize as deep distress. "Dr. Luna," Mira's mother began, her translator converting the musical tones of Aetherian speech into standard English. "We've heard of your success with unusual cases. You're our last hope. The other facilities." Her voice trailed off, emotion disrupting the harmonic patterns necessary for Aetherian speech. Isabella took a deep breath, her mind already racing with possibilities based on their recent discovery. "I've reviewed Mira's case files," she said carefully, maintaining the professional tone that had carried her through countless difficult conversations. "While her condition is severe, we've noticed something unique that none of the other facilities seems to have investigated." She paused, watching hope flicker through the crystalline patterns of the anxious parents. "I can't make any promises, but I believe we might have found a new approach worth exploring." If you're willing to transfer Mira to Luna Station, we'll do everything in our power to help her." The relief in their voices was palpable as they immediately began arranging the transfer. As the transmission ended, Isabella turned to Nina, determination clear in her expression. "Let's get to work. We have less than 2 months to solve this, and we'll need every second." The pediatric transport ship arrived at Luna Station 3 days later, its specialized containment chamber casting a soft blue glow through the medical bay. Nurse Jun Mai supervised the delicate transfer process, her experienced eyes never leaving the monitoring systems as Mira's crystalline form was moved to the station's advanced treatment unit. "Vital patterns holding stable," Jun Mai reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Crystal matrix degradation unchanged during transport." She paused, frowning slightly at one of the readings. "Dr. Luna, you might want to see this." Isabella hurried over, still adjusting her lab coat after rushing from her quarters at the transport's arrival. The readings on the display showed an unexpected fluctuation in Mira's energy signature. It wasn't the dangerous deterioration they'd been monitoring, but something entirely different. "The pattern changed when you approached," Jun Mai said quietly, her eyes bright with realization. "Just like in the historical data, but it's stronger in person than in the recordings." Isabella leaned closer to the containment field, watching in fascination as the crystalline patterns in Mira's translucent form shifted subtly. The young Aetherian's natural luminescence, which had been fading over the past months, brightened almost imperceptibly. "Dr. Maria Santos to the pediatric unit, please," Isabella called through the station's communication system. As the station's leading expert in xenobiological energy patterns, Maria's insight would be invaluable. Mira's parents watched anxiously from the observation area, their own crystalline forms flickering with worried colors. Isabella had explained her theory about human bioelectric fields, but seeing their daughter's response to human proximity had kindled their first real hope in months. Maria arrived minutes later, her tablet already displaying Mira's latest readings. "These patterns are fascinating," she said, immediately focusing on the energy fluctuations. "The resonance between human bioelectric fields and Aetherian crystal matrices is stronger than anything we've documented before." The 3 medical professionals worked through the morning, carefully documenting every change in Mira's condition as they tested different proximities and configurations of human presence. Each new test confirmed their theory. Human bioelectric fields could temporarily stabilize the deteriorating crystal matrix. "Look at this," Maria said, pulling up a microscopic view of Mira's crystal structure. When exposed to human bioelectric fields, the degradation process not only slows but shows signs of reversal in some areas. It's like our energy signature is providing a template for proper crystal alignment. Jun Mai, who had been monitoring Mira's comfort levels, made another crucial observation. "The effect seems strongest with medical staff, who are actively focused on healing. My readings spike whenever we're concentrating on treatment rather than just standing nearby." Isabella's mind raced with possibilities. What if we could amplify this effect? Create a sustained field that mimics the focused healing energy we're generating. She turned to Maria. "Could we modify the station's medical equipment to channel and enhance human bioelectric outputs?" "Theoretically, yes," Maria replied, already sketching ideas on her tablet. "We'd need to design an entirely new type of medical chamber, something that could amplify and direct human bioelectric fields while maintaining precise control over the energy patterns." As they discussed the technical challenges, Mira stirred in her containment field. Her crystalline form brightened momentarily, creating a rainbow of refracted light across the medical bay. It was the first voluntary movement they'd seen since her arrival. "Her core temperature is stabilizing," Jun Mai reported, excitement creeping into her professional tone. "The crystal matrix degradation has slowed by 13% just from our presence this morning." Isabella turned to Mira's parents, who had been watching the proceedings with growing hope. "We're seeing real responses here," she explained, letting her own cautious optimism show. "It's not a cure yet, but this is more progress than any previous treatment has shown. The Aetherian couple's crystalline forms pulsed with joy colors, their gratitude translating into harmonious tones that the station's systems struggled to convert into words. "We need to move quickly," Isabella addressed her team. "We've proven the concept, but now we have to find a way to transform these temporary effects into a lasting cure. Time to make the impossible possible." The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Isabella Luna was reviewing the latest test results when a commotion from the pediatric recovery ward caught her attention. Through the observation window, she saw something remarkable. Mira's crystalline form was glowing brighter than it had in weeks. "Dr. Luna," Junmai called from inside the ward. "You need to see this." The children from the recovery ward wandered in during their recreation period. "And look at the readings." The medical sensors were registering unprecedented levels of stability in Mira's crystal matrix. A small group of human children, recovering from various ailments, had gathered around her containment field, pressing their hands against the transparent barrier in fascination. "The bioelectric field strength is almost triple what we've recorded from adult proximity," Maria Santos said, rushing in with her diagnostic equipment. "And the resonance patterns are far more harmonious." Isabella watched in amazement as the young patients interacted with Mira. Despite the language barrier, they were communicating through simple gestures and expressions. More importantly, Mira's deteriorating crystal structure was responding to their presence, showing signs of regeneration that had previously seemed impossible. Children's bioelectric fields must be more adaptable, less fixed in their patterns, Isabella theorized, quickly documenting the phenomenon. Their natural healing processes are more active, their cellular regeneration more vigorous. One of the human children, a young girl recovering from neural regeneration, pressed her forehead against Mira's containment field. The Aetherian child mirrored the gesture from inside, and the monitoring equipment nearly overloaded from the surge in compatible energy patterns. "Look at this wavelength synchronization," Maria breathed, her eyes wide as she studied the readings. "Their natural frequencies are aligning spontaneously. We've been trying to force this kind of harmony through technology, but these children are achieving it instinctively." Junmai was already adjusting the containment field settings, optimizing them to enhance the natural resonance occurring between the children. "Mira's core temperature is normalizing," she reported. "Crystal integrity improving by 27%, 32%. Holding steady at 40% improvement." The discovery led to an immediate revision of their treatment protocols. With parental consent on both sides, they began organizing regular interaction sessions between Mira and the recovering human children. Each session showed promising results, with Mira's condition stabilizing far beyond their initial projections. "We're seeing something extraordinary here," Isabella explained to Mira's parents later that day. "The human children's bioelectric fields aren't just slowing the deterioration. They're actually teaching Mira's crystal matrix how to stabilize itself." The Aetherian couple's forms shimmered with hope colors as they watched their daughter interact with her new friends through the containment field. For the first time since her diagnosis, Mira was displaying the playful color patterns typical of healthy Aetherian children. "The challenge now," Maria added, "is finding a way to make these effects permanent. The improvements last longer after each session, but they still begin to fade when the human children aren't present." Isabella nodded, her mind already working on solutions. "We need to understand exactly what makes children's bioelectric fields so special. If we can isolate those characteristics, we might be able to replicate them in a sustained treatment." As they discussed next steps, the ward filled with gentle laughter. Myra had learned to flash her crystals in patterns that delighted her human friends, who were teaching her to play simple games through the containment field. The medical sensors continued to record unprecedented levels of crystal stability. "There's something else," Junmai said softly, reviewing the latest data. "The human children's recovery rates have improved significantly since these sessions began. Whatever healing energy they're sharing, it seems to flow both ways." Isabella looked at her team, Seeing her own determination reflected in their faces, they had found a path forward, one that none of them could have predicted. Now they needed to transform this serendipitous discovery into a reliable treatment. Schedule as many interaction sessions as the children can safely handle, she instructed. And get me everything we have on childhood biological energy patterns. We're not just fighting time anymore. We're racing towards a cure. The prototype bioresonance chamber dominated Luna Station's main research lab, its crystalline arrays carefully aligned to amplify and channel human bioelectric fields. Dr. Isabella Luna stood before the complex apparatus, reviewing the final calibrations with Dr. Maria Santos as they prepared for the first full-scale test. Neural interface synchronization at 98%, Maria reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. Crystal matrix resonators aligned and stable. We're as ready as we'll ever be. The chamber represented 3 weeks of non-stop development, combining cutting-edge human medical technology with Etherian crystal engineering. Its design had been inspired by the natural healing resonance they'd observed between the children, but amplified to create a sustainable therapeutic field. Mira's latest readings, Isabella asked, double-checking every detail before they proceeded. Time was growing critically short. The young Aetherian's condition had begun deteriorating again, despite the regular interaction sessions with the human children. Jun Mai consulted her medical display, crystal integrity holding at 38%, down from yesterday's 42%. The temporary improvements from this morning's session are already fading faster than before. They all knew what that meant. Their window of opportunity was closing. The children's natural healing resonance had bought them precious weeks to develop this treatment, but it wouldn't be enough on its own. They needed a permanent solution. Begin power-up sequence, Isabella commanded, watching as the chamber's crystalline arrays hummed to life. The specially grown crystals, infused with trace elements from human cellular samples, began to glow with an otherworldly blue light. Maria monitored the energy readings closely. Field generation stable, beginning harmonic alignment with Mira's crystal frequency. She paused, making a minute adjustment. First stage resonance achieved. The chamber's interior shimmer as the bioelectric field took shape, creating a visible pattern of energy that mimicked the healing resonance they'd documented between Mira and the human children. It was beautiful and terrifying. Nothing like this had ever been attempted before. Bring in the first volunteer, Isabella directed, her heart pounding despite her professional demeanor. They had tested the chamber extensively with cellular samples, but this would be their first attempt with a living subject. Naina Patel, who had volunteered for this crucial test, stepped forward. The young researcher had shown a particularly strong natural resonance with Aetherian crystal patterns during their preliminary trials. She took her position in the chamber's activation alcove, surrounded by the hovering neural interfaces. Neural link established, Maria announced. Beginning consciousness synchronization. Naina, you should start feeling a slight tingling sensation as the field aligns with your natural bioelectric patterns. Naina nodded, her eyes closed in concentration. I can feel it. It's like a warm current flowing through my body, similar to when we work with the children but much stronger. The chamber's crystals pulsed brighter, their light taking on an almost liquid quality as they channeled and amplified Naina's bioelectric field. The monitoring systems displayed a cascade of data, showing energy patterns that exactly matched their theoretical models. Field strength at 200% of natural human output, Jun Mei reported excitedly. 300%, stabilizing at 350%. The amplification is working. Isabella allowed herself a moment of hope. Now for the real test. Bring in the crystal sample. A robotic arm carefully introduced a small sample of Mira's deteriorating crystal matrix, suspended in a containment field. All eyes fixed on the sample as it entered the chamber's amplified healing resonance. For several tense moments, nothing seemed to happen. Then, almost too fast to follow, the sample's degraded crystal structure began to realign, taking on the healthy patterns they'd been trying to achieve for weeks. Full regeneration of crystal integrity. Jun Mei's voice cracked with emotion. The sample is showing complete recovery at the molecular level. The team shared looks of cautious triumph, but Isabella kept her focus on the bigger picture. Now we need to scale this up and maintain it long enough to treat Mira's entire crystal matrix. Nina, how are you holding up? Ready to go as long as needed, Nina replied, her voice steady despite the strain visible on her face. Let's save our patient. The success with the crystal sample had energized the entire medical team, but translating that small-scale victory into a full treatment for Myra proved challenging. Dr. Isabella Luna stood in the observation room, watching as Jun Mei reviewed the latest trial results with growing concern. The scaled-up field isn't maintaining stability, Jun Mei reported, highlighting the erratic energy patterns on her display. We can achieve the same resonance as the sample test, but it collapses after 17 minutes. That's nowhere near long enough for a complete treatment. Isabella pressed her hands against the cool surface of the observation window, her reflection showing the fatigue of endless hours of work. Beyond the glass, the bioresonance chamber waited, its crystals dimmed between tests. There's something we're missing, she murmured, more to herself than her colleague. The children achieve this harmony naturally, without any technology. Why can't we maintain it artificially? As if in answer to her question, Nurse Jun Mei suddenly straightened in her chair. Dr. Luna, do you remember my grandmother's stories about the ancient healing practices I mentioned last week? Isabella turned, curious. The meditation techniques. Yes. Jun Mei's eyes lit up with excitement. In traditional healing, practitioners would enter specific mental states to channel their energy. What if our problem isn't technological? What if it's about the quality of the bioelectric field itself? The idea sparked something in Isabella's mind. The children, she said slowly, they don't think about the healing. They just connect, feel, play. She rushed to the medical records, pulling up the interaction session data. Look at these patterns. The strongest resonance always occurred when the children were completely immersed in the moment, not trying to force anything. Maria Santos joined them, quickly catching up on their discussion. We could modify the neural interface to support meditative states instead of trying to force direct control. Guide the field naturally rather than generating it artificially. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity as they reconfigured the chamber systems. Jun Mei worked with Nina Patel, teaching her the basic principles of the meditation techniques, while Maria and Isabella adjusted the crystal arrays to respond to more subtle energy patterns. Ready for test sequence, Maria announced, as Nina took her position in the modified chamber. Remember, don't try to control the field. Just maintain the mental state Jun Mei taught you. Nina nodded, settling into the meditation pose she'd practiced. The chamber's crystals began to glow, but instead of the harsh, artificial light of previous tests, they emerged with a soft, almost organic radiance. Field generation beginning, Jun Mei reported, watching the readings with intense focus. Energy patterns stabilizing. This is different from before. The harmonics are much closer to what we see with the children. Isabella held her breath as the minutes ticked by. 20 minutes. 30. 45. The field maintained its stability, the crystal arrays pulsing with a steady, healthy light. 1 hour, Maria announced triumphantly. Field strength and harmony holding constant. We've done it. But their celebration was interrupted by an urgent alert from the pediatric ward. Myra's condition had taken a sudden turn for the worse. Her crystal matrix is collapsing faster than our projections, Jun Mei reported, already moving toward the exit. We're out of time. Isabella made a split-second decision. Prep the chamber for full treatment. Jun Mei, bring Mira immediately. Maria, start calculating the power requirements for a sustained field. Nina, I'm staying right here, Nina said firmly from within the chamber, maintaining her meditative pose. I can hold this state as long as needed. The next few minutes were a carefully choreographed rush of activity. Myra's containment pod was transferred into the chamber as Nina maintained the stable healing field. The young Aetherian's crystalline form had grown dangerously dim, but as soon as she entered the harmonized energy field, her natural luminescence began to strengthen. Crystal matrix showing initial response, Junmei reported, her voice tight with hope. Degradation process slowing, stopping, beginning to reverse. Isabella watched the readings with tears in her eyes, hope finally outweighing fear. Send word to Mira's parents, she instructed softly. Tell them we found the bridge between our worlds. As news of Mira's successful treatment spread through the galactic medical community, Luna Station found itself at the center of a healing revolution. Dr. Isabella Luna stood in the newly expanded Xenobiology wing, watching as another young Aetherian child was carefully transferred into one of the 3 bioresonance chambers that now operated around the clock. 4th patient this week, Junmei noted, checking the transport logs on her tablet. This one came all the way from the Outer Rim. His parents traveled for 12 days to reach us. The medical bay had been transformed in the month since Mira's treatment. What began as a single experimental chamber had grown into a comprehensive healing center, with dedicated spaces for both treatment and training. How are the new meditation instructors progressing? Isabella asked, watching as Maria Santos guided a group of medical staff through the refined consciousness techniques that had proven crucial to the treatment's success. Remarkably well, Junmei replied. Having Mira's parents teach the cultural aspects of Aetherian crystal harmonics has made a huge difference. The integration of their traditional knowledge with our meditation practices has improved field stability by 30%. In the main treatment chamber, Nana Patel was conducting a training session with Dr. Yuki Tanaka, one of the many medical professionals who had come to Luna Station to learn the groundbreaking procedure. Through the observation window, they could see the careful way Nina guided Yuki through the mental states necessary for generating a stable healing field. The most challenging part isn't the technology, Nina had explained during one of their staff meetings. It's helping people unlearn their expectations about healing. You can't force this process. You have to become part of it. Isabella smiled as she remembered the skepticism they'd initially faced from the medical establishment. How could ancient meditation techniques combined with children's play therapy form the basis of a revolutionary treatment? But the results spoke for themselves. Dr. Luna, Junmei called her attention back to the present. The latest results from the long-term monitoring of our first patients. The data showed exactly what they'd hoped to see. Not only had Mira's crystal matrix fully stabilized, but she was showing signs of improved resilience. The integration of human bioelectric patterns had somehow strengthened her natural crystalline structure. Send these results to the Galactic Medical Council, Isabella instructed, and add a note about the unexpected benefits we're seeing in the human practitioners. The enhanced healing capabilities they're developing could have implications far beyond treating crystal matrix degradation. In the recovery ward, several human children who had participated in the early interaction sessions with Mira were teaching new Aetherian patients simple Earth games. The natural harmony between the species had only grown stronger as more families arrived seeking treatment. Sometimes I wonder, Junmei said softly, if this is what healing was always meant to be. Not just fixing what's broken, but growing something new together. Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle chiming from the main chamber. Dr. Tanaka's first supervised treatment session was complete, and the readings showed perfect field stability throughout the procedure. Another healer ready to carry this knowledge forward, Isabella noted with satisfaction. Already, plans were being made to establish similar treatment centers on other medical stations throughout the galaxy. As they began the evening rounds, Isabella paused to watch Mira, who had insisted on staying at the station to help new patients adjust to the treatment process. The young Aetherian's crystal form glowed with healthy light as she demonstrated proper meditation postures to a recently arrived child. We're seeing increased interest from other crystalline species, Junmei mentioned, reviewing the latest admission requests. They're hoping the treatment might be adapted for their own unique matrices. Isabella nodded, her mind already exploring the possibilities. What had begun as a desperate attempt to save one child had opened up entirely new frontiers in interspecies healing. The bridge they had built between human and Aetherian biology was just the beginning. Schedule a research meeting for tomorrow, she decided. It's time to start thinking about Phase 2. We've proven that our differences can be our greatest strength. Now let's see how far that understanding can take us. 6 months after the first successful treatment, Luna Station hosted an unprecedented gathering of medical professionals from across the galaxy. Dr. Isabella Luna watched from the podium as the grand conference hall filled with beings of all species, their diverse forms creating a living tapestry of galactic cooperation. The results speak for themselves, Isabella announced, gesturing to the holographic display behind her. Over 100 successful treatments with a 98% long-term stability rate. But what's more remarkable is what we've learned about the nature of healing itself. The display shifted to show side-by-side comparisons of human and Aetherian biological patterns. Myra, now fully recovered and glowing with vibrant health, stood beside her to help demonstrate the profound changes they'd discovered. The integration of human bioelectric fields with Aetherian crystal matrices doesn't just heal the degradation, Isabella continued. It creates a new form of biological harmony that strengthens both species. Our human practitioners are showing enhanced regenerative capabilities, while treated Aetherians display improved crystal stability beyond anything previously recorded. Junmai presented the next section, sharing the refined treatment protocols they'd developed. The key was understanding that healing isn't just a physical process, she explained. The meditation techniques that make our treatments possible tap into something fundamental about consciousness itself. In the audience, representatives from 12 other crystalline species listened intently, their own forms shimmering with interest. Research teams had already begun exploring adaptations of the treatment for different crystal structures. But perhaps our most important discovery, Maria Santos added, joining them on stage, was the role of human children in unlocking this potential. Their natural ability to form healing connections across species boundaries taught us more than years of conventional research could have. The presentation shifted to show footage from the station's new integrated recovery ward, where young patients of various species played and healed together. The sight of human and alien children sharing games and laughter brought warm smiles to even the most serious medical professionals in attendance. We're not just treating a disease anymore, Isabella continued. We're building bridges between species, creating connections that transform both the healer and the healed. Naina Patel, who had been instrumental in refining the meditation techniques, demonstrated the latest advances in field generation. The conference hall filled with gentle, harmonious energy as she activated a scaled-down version of their resonance technology. Each successful treatment teaches us more, Naina explained as the assembled beings experienced the subtle influence of the field. We're learning that the boundaries between species are more permeable than we ever imagined, especially when it comes to healing energy. Later, during the practical workshop sessions, Isabella found a moment to speak privately with Mira's parents. Their crystalline forms shimmered with joy colors as they watched their daughter leading a demonstration for visiting medical students. She's decided to pursue xenobiology, Mira's mother shared proudly. Says she wants to keep building bridges between our peoples. Isabella smiled, remembering the frightened child who had arrived at their station barely clinging to life. Now Myra moved with confidence, her crystal matrix stronger and more vibrant than ever, as she explained the principles of human Aetherian energy harmonics to an attentive audience. The Galactic Medical Council has approved funding for 5 new treatment centers, Junmai reported, joining their conversation. They'll be established in different sectors, making the treatment accessible to more patients. As the day's sessions concluded, Isabella found herself in the observation lounge, watching the stars wheel past the station's windows. The conference had exceeded their highest hopes, but she knew this was just the beginning. Dr. Luna, Junmai called softly, the evening meditation session is starting. The new practitioners are eager to learn. Isabella nodded, turning away from the view. In the treatment chamber beyond, beings of multiple species were gathering, ready to explore the boundaries of what healing could mean. Each session brought new insights, new possibilities, new ways of understanding the connections that bound all living things together. "Let's show them the way," she said, moving to join the group. "We have so much more to learn from each other." 1 year after her life-saving treatment, Mira stood in Luna Station's main auditorium, her crystalline form radiating health and confidence as she addressed the graduating class of the Interspecies Medical Academy. Dr. Isabella Luna watched from the side of the stage, pride warming her heart as her former patient, now a promising medical student, shared her story. "When I first arrived at this station, Myra's translated voice rang clear through the hall. I thought I was coming here to die. Instead, I found a new way to live. The human doctors didn't just heal my crystal matrix. They showed me that the greatest medical breakthroughs happen when we cross the boundaries between species." The auditorium was filled with an unprecedented mix of beings. Human medical students sitting alongside Etherians, crystalline species from across the galaxy, and representatives of dozens of other civilizations. What had begun as an emergency treatment protocol had blossomed into a new field of medical science. "The bioresonance therapy that saved my life is just the beginning," Myra continued, her form pulsing with passionate colors. "Each day, we discover new ways that different species can help heal each other. The human capacity for adaptive healing, combined with Aetherian crystal harmonics, has opened doors we never knew existed." Jun Mei, recently appointed as head of the Academy's meditation training program, nodded in agreement from her seat. The integration of traditional Earth healing practices with advanced alien medical technology had revolutionized their understanding of biology itself. "Today, as you prepare to begin your medical careers," Myra addressed her fellow students, "remember that every difference between us is an opportunity. Every unique biological trait is a potential key to healing. The boundaries between species aren't barriers, they're bridges waiting to be built." Isabella stepped forward to join Myra as they prepared to present the graduation certificates. Each graduate had completed not only their medical training but also the intensive consciousness techniques that made interspecies healing possible. "Dr. Nina Patel Memorial Scholarship for Xenobiological Research," Myra announced, her voice softening with emotion as she named the award created in honor of the researcher who had given so much to develop their treatment protocols. Nana's dedication had inspired a new generation of healers to push the boundaries of what was possible. After the ceremony, Isabella found herself in the station's arboretum with Mira and Jun Mei, surrounded by the carefully maintained earth plants that had become a favorite gathering place for recovering patients of all species. "The first satellite facility on the Aetherian homeworld will be ready next month," Jun Mei reported, reviewing the latest updates on her tablet. "They've already got a waiting list of human doctors wanting to complete their residency there." Mira's crystal matrix sparkled with joy colors, and 3 more crystalline species have been successfully treated with modified versions of the protocol. "The adaptations we developed are working better than anyone expected." Isabella smiled, remembering the desperate days when they had struggled to save a single child. Now, treatment centers were opening across the galaxy, each one staffed by mixed teams of human and alien medical professionals. "The latest research from the quantum biology team is fascinating," Jun Mei added. "They're saying the healing resonance we discovered might be fundamental to life itself, a kind of universal harmony we're only beginning to understand." Through the Arboretum's dome, they could see Earth rising over the station's horizon, its blue-white surface a reminder of how far they'd come. What had started as one species reaching out to help another had grown into something that was changing their understanding of life, consciousness, and healing itself. "I have patients to check on," Myra said, her professional dedication evident in her posture, "including a young human girl who's showing remarkable sensitivity to crystal harmonics. We think she might be able to help us develop the next generation of treatments." As they watched her leave, Isabella and Jun Mei shared a knowing look. The future they had helped create was in good hands, growing and evolving in ways they could never have imagined. "Ready for tomorrow's challenges?" Jun Mei asked, knowing there would always be new frontiers to explore. Always, Isabella replied, her heart full of hope. The universe has so many more secrets to share.